Yeah, I'm telling you, dude. And I'll give you this really quick. So I got on campus and met Kevin Ralston, who was a senior. And I walk up to Kevin. He says, "Hey, man, what's your name?" I said, "Hey, Jeremy Sheetinger." I said, "Man, you can call me Big Dog." They call me Big Dog back home. He goes, "Dude, I'm a senior. I'll never call you Big Dog." He goes, "Your name's Sheets." And that's, first day on campus is how Sheets came about. Yeah, and it stuck ever since. But having a plan B, and that was the one thing when I got to Wesleyan, I realized that my playing career was never going to be what it was. I had to come to grips with it somehow, but I had to be productive. And I don't think I was an awful teammate in high school. I think I was a good teammate. I wasn't a great one. I was a good one. I was a bad teammate in the first few years at Charleston. I couldn't get past myself. I couldn't get past my situation. And my first year at Wesleyan, I started noticing my name wasn't showing up on the lineup card. And I literally had a moment of epiphany. I hope that I need to be the best teammate there's ever been in college baseball. So I made a commitment for the last 3 years of my college career. I would never sit on the bench. I would always stand on the front edge of the turf. I would always cheer on my teammates. I'd be the loudest guy on the bench. I started 3 brawls with other teams. That's who I needed to be. I needed to be the best teammate that I could be to support my teammates. And when guys got drafted, I felt like a piece of me got drafted. And it goes back to a point, that came out on one of our shows with Pat Murphy at Alabama softball. Is you got to find a way to find mudita, find vicarious joy in another success. And that, to me, is the definition of a true teammate, is a guy that puts himself on the back burner and really serves and invests in other people. And so my plan B became, I really need to be the best teammate that's out there. And that's, again, I think if you take that into life, if I take that into getting excited for coworkers or getting excited for other coaches when they have success, I think you're better off, you're better served for doing it that way.
Hey, I got a chance to living here in Texas to watch Mike Trout play last season for the LA Angels. It was a hot Texas, beautiful ballpark at the ballpark at Arlington, Globe Life Park. But there is a reason they're building a new indoor facility, because in August, Sheets, it does get pretty hot down here. And it was about 102 degrees. The Angels were down, I think, 8-0. Mike Trout had every reason to either go down in the clubhouse where it's air conditioned, stay in the shade. He was up on the rail cheering on his teammates down 8-0 in a 102-degree day. And that's what being a great teammate, a great leader is all about.
That's it, man. True character is revealed when adversity hits or your role changes, and find out who you are. And that's a great example. You get David Price is a great one. David Price is probably one of the best teammates in Major League Baseball. That's a guy, if you ever see him, he's always on the rail. He's always the first guy jumping that rail to get a pitcher off the mound. That's just, if I'm not playing that day or I'm in a different role, I need to really take control of another role and do what I can to help the team and stay invested. It's a powerful thing to find if you can get as fired up about someone else's success as yours. It's no different than if this podcast takes off, John, and I need to be excited about that. Even if it takes a listener away from our show, it doesn't matter. It's about others and their success, because if you're serving others, you're going to get served on the back end. It's just a matter of perspective.
Yeah, man, that is so true, and having a great attitude about it. And Jeremy, that whole college experience is why a lot of employers, a lot of people want to know, hey, you have some college experience, because you do get humbled. You learn, you got to get up, you got to show up, you got to suit up, to class, and you got to communicate with your professors, your coaches, your teammates. Man, all that's great stuff. And you started your coaching career back in Georgetown, Kentucky, and also spent some time at Brescia University in Owensboro before landing back in Lexington with the Kentucky Wildcats. Did you ever think coaching in Kentucky and being back close to home that you'd ever leave the Bluegrass State?
Yeah, I never wanted to, that's for sure. It was a really cool, I still remember being in the third base coaching box on the field at the University of Notre Dame, working one of their camps. I've been up there for 2 weeks, and I knew this was a possibility that Coach Cohen could call me and offer me this job to come on staff at UK, but I wasn't trying to let myself go there quite yet until I got the call. I remember getting the call, leaving the box, and saying yes on the spot. And, Coach, I'll do whatever you need. And I don't have any money for you. That's fine. I'll figure it out. I remember driving back home and eating dinner with my best friend and telling him. And he's like, sweet, man, you're coaching in UK. Oh, it's a dream come true. This is awesome, man. Well, how much money are you making? He's like, it's UK. So I know you're
SEC, big payday, right?
Yeah, all of it. And he goes, you got to be, it's got, what is it, like 50, 60? What do you got? And I go, dude, nothing. He's like, what do you mean nothing? You have to get paid. I go, no, I'm coming on as a GA. Like, I'm going to get my master's from Kentucky. I'm going to have a chance to coach on staff, and I'm going to go out and work every camp in the country and figure it out. He was like, dude, you're 25 without a salary or benefits? That makes you a loser. I'm like, no, man, this is part of coaching, dude. This is a huge step to come from NAI to the SEC. And so I had to work through that with my family and a lot of friends, but it was an absolute dream to come back and coach and put on the UK colors and get a degree, my master's degree in kinesiology from UK is everything to me. I'm a Kentucky alum, and it means the world. But I didn't plan on ever really getting out of Kentucky. But when I got to my third year and I moved into the director of baseball operations, and it still wasn't a full-time job, I was still working camps it seemed like every weekend all summer. I just realized that I didn't really want to stay in Division I. I was a small college guy. The route in Division I is you've got to make 7 moves before you finally get to a place where you want to be. And I knew that I could go back down a level or two, and I could go back to small college, and I could probably go get a full-time job. I could get some real responsibility on the field and run my own offense or run my own group of infielders. And so I just decided to go back to small school and took a Division II opportunity as a full-time coach and recruiting coordinator and up in Indiana. And that was really the only times I ever left the state. And it was great because I got to see a whole new part of the country, open up a whole new, land of recruiting and networking and connections. But and again, when I came back to coach at Spalding, it was really good to be back in Kentucky. And I thought that I would retire and stay there for the rest of my life in the state. But I'm enjoying the Tar Heel State. It's growing on me. It's a different climate. It's a different opportunity for us, especially here at ABCA. But I'm a loyal Bluegrass State enthusiast forever to the day I die. But it was a really cool opportunity to be there on staff in Kentucky.
Well, hey, I know firsthand it's one of the toughest tickets in all of sports to get into Rupp Arena, especially on a Saturday night, big game. Although this past season the ticket demand may have been a little softer. Coach Cal and those guys didn't quite have the season that the Big Blue hoped for. But as an assistant coach at UK, I know you were unpaid, but you were getting your education. Did you have any fringe benefits? Did you get like 2 tickets on the third row, center court at Rupp Arena?
Well, I personally didn't, but our staff, of course, our full-time assistants, they all had tickets. And we were in a great situation in our offices at Commonwealth Stadium. We had the soccer staff, we had the softball staff all near us. So if you really wanted to go to a game, and of course, from where myself and our volunteers sat, we didn't have tickets. We would just ask the staff, hey, are you going to use your tickets? Or recruiting weekend, and certainly if we were bringing guys to the games, we just walk in with them and walk out on the court and do the whole thing. But now I want you to keep this in mind. I was there for Billy Gillespie's 2 years at UK. So getting tickets really wasn't that much of a problem. So I had Cal's first year at Kentucky as my last year at UK. And Coach Cal and I actually took our recruiting test together. And he tried to look off my computer. So I didn't let him. No, I'm just joking. But it was a time where, I got a little not disinterested, but I just didn't feel as great about where UK basketball was at that point. And tickets, weren't. But when Cal got there, man, I tell you what, it took it to a totally different level. And just excited about where the program's going. Hopefully we can get a little more, solidarity inside our roster and a little more age and experience. And I think that'll do us wonders as we get back in the tournament.
Hey,
that's another discussion.
Yes, sir. You'd mentioned before joining ABCA staff, you spent your last 3 years coaching at Spalding University there in Louisville. Mm-hmm. You say you feel really comfortable at the small schools. The challenge at being a head coach at small schools is you do a whole lot more for the baseball program than just coach. Can you talk our audience through, coaching at whether it's a high school or a small college, all the different hats and the roles you have to play to impact the kids?
Yeah, it's so funny, man. I had a taste of being a head coach at 20 and 21 years old. Like I said, coaching during college. And so I always had in my head, man, I want to be a head coach. I want to run my own program. I know how I want to run it. I know what I want it to look like, all those things. And for 8 years, I probably was not a very good assistant coach because of that. I think I was really bullheaded and stubborn and, again, wanted to do it my way. And so when I had the chance to come be a head coach, man, it was that opportunity to finally put my stamp on a program and do it the way that I thought needed to be done and put the culture in place the way I wanted it to look and all those things. And I remember an older head coach grabbed me and he said, man, I'm excited about your first head coach. After that's great. He goes, but man, you don't realize what you're leaving behind as an assistant. What do you mean? He goes, you probably spend, let's call it 90% of your time on baseball. You're on the field, you're in the cages, you've got infield groups, you've got base running groups, you're doing all this baseball stuff. And then you got to come upstairs, send off some emails, put camp together, whatever. He goes, that's probably 90-10. That's going to completely flip. You're only going to spend about 10% of your time on baseball, on field. You're going to spend 90% in the office, dealing with your AD, dealing with administration, admissions, financial aid, fundraising, recruiting. And I'm like, no, I'm going to do my best to keep it at least 50-50. And you can't.
That sounds overwhelming,
dynamic.
Sheets. Wow.
Yeah.
I think you're scaring some coaches off from pursuing that as a profession.
Well, I think assistant coaches, you just don't realize what you got. You don't realize, I think it's, I spoke at the Texas High School Coaches Convention. One of the points I made that I try to make at any association or any convention is that assistant coaches, I know it's so easy to look at that head coach and go, man, if it was mine, I'd do this or I'd do that. What you don't see is the phone call at midnight. What you don't read is the email that was sent at 6 a.m. What you don't know is the noon meeting he has with his AD from the principal, from central office. You just don't know all the dynamics that are in place that fall upon a head coach. And I think that was a great eye-opener for me that, again, I wanted to make it so much about baseball, but I found myself in the office at, 7:30, 8 o'clock and not leaving until 10:30, 11 o'clock because I had to catch up on my emails. I had to stay on top of fundraising. A big piece of small school coaching is fundraising. Your budget is only going to take you so far, but if you want to take a spring trip, I wanted to take our kids to Florida, I took them to Arizona, I took them to California. I wanted to do things a little bit differently. I wanted to have the best gear. I wanted to have the best equipment. I wanted to do things a little bit different that separate us from the pack. Well, you've got to fundraise to do that. So we ran 13 or 14 different fundraisers, brought in $70,000 or $80,000 a year. I spent a lot of time on that. Then you've got your AD coming down to have a convo. Then you've got other sport coaches that want to pop in and close the door and have a meeting. You've got, we were always trying to find a full-time assistant. I had about $5,000 for assistant coaches. And we were trying to figure out a way to, really finance a full-time assistant coach. So I was working on plans with our admissions and our financial aid and our, dean of students. And it was just this constant administrative hat that you wear. On top of that, this is laughable, I was the home game manager. So for basketball games, for home soccer games, for any home event, I was supposed to be there, be visible, make sure we had student workers, make sure the table was set up, all these different things. I was the worst home game manager in America because I had no interest in that because that was another thing that added into that 90%. I was like, no, I don't. I think you just kind of realize at the small college level, very few of us get to just walk out and coach baseball every day. That just is hard to find. The guy at Arkansas does not live the same life as the guy at Arkansas Monticello, as the same guy at Hendrix. So all three of those guys are working 3 different jobs, and their pulls are in completely different directions. And I think that that's a dynamic that if you really understand and dive into, be careful what you wish. I want to be a head coach, or I want to, coach Division III or coach NAI or coach Division II. Man, that's great. But you're also going to be, I have a lot of Division II friends that are coaches. They're also admissions counselors. They're out there doing some things creatively to keep that position full time. I just think it's not as luxurious as what we see on the Division I level.
Yeah, we've both had the good fortune of having Coach Matt Deggs on, and he talks about his junior college experience and being the driver of the 12-passenger van and being the field maintenance guy and all those jobs that like I said, it's literally during baseball season, probably an 18-hour-a-day job.
There's no doubt about it. There's no doubt. As a head coach, I mean, I never felt like I was off the clock. You know, I think I would come